Hello, love. I'm Anjuli, and I am bringing back beauty tutorials. Okay. Like, I didn't want to scream because I got the microphone here, but I'm so excited to be giving you this first tutorial for this smoky eye. This is not the original look that I had planned on doing, but all of y'all love the smoky eye look so much that I figured I gotta give the people what they want sometimes, all right? Not all the time am I gonna be the flexible, but I sometimes gotta give the people what they want. And so I decided to give you this smoky eye look from start to beginning. You are going to be able to come out of this knowing exactly what colors to pick, how easy it is, how to do this for your eye shape. Okay, can you wear different lip colors with this? You're going to come out of this with a very good baseline knowledge of how to do a smoky eye, and you'll see just how easy it can be. Everything that I'm using will be listed down below, but I guess that's it. I think that's it as far as disclaimers are concerned. So let's get into this. Okay, so before we get into this tutorial, a couple things to note. Number one, you do not need to run out, try to track whatever I am using. The beauty of makeup is that you can kind of make things work for you and what you already have in your collection. You're gonna see products here that I use that may not still be around anymore. And I'm not buying new products just for the sake of buying products. I don't have money like that, okay? Tip jar in the link. But I don't have money like that. And also, I just really do value using what you have. To start things off, we are going to prime the eye. I used to think that this was an optional step, but I had realized over the years that I have quite oily lid. They might not start oily, but they do get oily throughout the day. And this is going to help your products last longer. Do I have a lot of experience with different primers to recommend one truly? No. But the one that I'm using today is the Urban Decay primer, and it has worked pretty well for me as somebody who has, my skin itself is actually combo dry, but my eyelids are more on the oily side for sure. But we are going to start with that. That's going to help our products last. It's also going to help us get better color payoff. And just put that all over the eye. The next thing you're going to want to do, decide what you're going to put on your lid. Do not put it on your lid yet. Okay, but decide what color you want to put on your lid. Most people are going to say black straight out the jump. I'm going to tell you that is the wrong answer. If you are a beginner, do not use black. I, as somebody who wears makeup on the daily, plays with makeup daily, and has been for over a decade, most of the time will not use black. I, in fact, think I've only used black as my main lid color like a handful of times. Most of the time, I'm picking a dark color, obviously darker in tone than my complexion, but not black. When we are picking our shade, I'm going to show you this palette because I think this is actually a very good palette with lots of shades that can make a good smoky eye color. The shade I am actually going to go into is Sarian, this shade right here. When we are picking our shade, you can do little swatches, and I want you to see what the pool is. When I talk about the pool, we're going to swatch this on our hand real quick, and you're going to see what I mean. Just drag it down your hand, and you're going to see wherever it starts to get like kind of splotchy, I want you to take note of what that shade looks like. And you'll see why in a second. I'm going to grab another shade, this pretty green color, and swatch that up here. These are very good eyeshadows, so it is a little bit harder to get the pool out of them. But even with this eyeshadow, if you're having a really hard time determining the pool, just kind of rub it into your finger so you can see. I guess I need to stop pointing with my middle finger. That seems maybe a little offensive. But I want you to take note of what shades you see coming out in these areas right here. When I grab a black shade, the reason why we don't pick black, especially if we are beginners, is because when I do the pool test on black, where am I going to swatch this? If it's a really, really good black, sometimes you won't even be able to get a good shade out of it. But we're looking for, see how that gets kind of warm right there? The reason why we don't typically pick black is because sometimes the black shades are so good that you can't really tell if they are a cool black, if they are a warm black, what the undertone of the black is. And that is important because that's going to help determine the crease shade here. So the shade that I'm going to be going into is this one right here, which is a purpley brown shade, a deep purpley brown shade. And that color right there, I want to find a shade that is very, very similar to that. And I'm going to use that as my crease shade. So I hope this is all making sense for you. I'm really trying to break this down in a way that is digestible and does make a lot of sense. But always you can either ask questions down in the comments down below, or when I do my live streams, because I do appear live once a week on Mondays, you can come onto the live stream and ask me for more clarifying questions and I'll happily answer things there. Where's my mirror? I am going to grab, like I said, that pool shade, a shade similar to that. That is going to be my crease color, all right? And when we do our crease color, you want to pick a fluffy brush. And I am putting that, mostly concentrating that in my crease area because that's where I want the most amount of color to be. And then as the shade starts to fade from my brush, as I have less product on my brush, I'm going to then take that and blend out. When people are choosing the shape for their smoky eye, a lot of times you'll see people tend to put bulk of their color on the outer portion out here. And that takes a very specific kind of eye shape to make that work. It's just gonna drag your eye down. Smoky eyes are it's a lot of makeup. It's a heavy eye look. And if you want your eyes to stay lifted up, I suggest following, almost like if you're doing a cat eye, I almost suggest following that kind of shape, stopping where my brush is. See how I'm kind of have that angle there? Like if I was going to draw a cat eye, that's basically where you want to stop that shade. And for my specific eye shape, I do kind of like to follow my very blonde brows and put the bulk of it is going to be in that area. I'm going to go almost in this kind of shape. But like I said, for every eye shape, it is going to be slightly different. You know, I can't necessarily educate you on hooded eyes because I don't have a hooded eye. But I can give you a base to play around with, some tools to hopefully guide you in your own journey to figuring out your own eye shape and what looks best for you. But you'll see I'm not really bringing the shade out here because that's past, you know, this point. And this is going to take majority of your time, honestly, because you really want to make sure that you are blending this out very, very well. This is also going to keep that from looking very raccoonish. You notice I'm not doing much of a transition shade, and that's because I really am taking my time with making sure that I am blending this out as much as I can, keeping majority of the product in this crease area, and then blending it up and out here. And I want you to remember what color you use for your crease shade because we're gonna come back into it. Okay, so now that we have our crease shade in there, I love this look because it's quite simple to do. And in fact, if I wanted to do this, if this were gonna be like every day for me, I would just take this crease shade and then also put it on my lid. And then put on a little mascara, a little lip, and then call it a day. That would seriously, and I've done it. It is actually a very simple eye for me to do, which is why I felt like this would be a very easy tutorial to start with. Now on to the lid shade. We want to take our lid shade. I'm going to go, like I said, in with this purple shade. Which shade's this dark? You want to pack, not pull. Pack, not pull. So the inclination with eyeshadow is to just drag it like this. We're not doing that, all right? Especially with something this dark, you are going to want to, and I'm almost doing like kind of scooping, almost a little feathering motion here, I guess. You are going to want to do something like that because that is going to keep us also from getting super patchy application. Dark colors are beautiful, but they are, especially when you start to get into more budget product, they can be very, very difficult to work with. because they can be so patchy, and you're going to notice it. If it's a patchy formulation, you are going to notice it almost immediately. So we are going to try and work smarter and not harder with it. And we are going to just do this scooping, packing motion onto the eye. Once again, this is going to change shape dependent upon your eye shape. But what I like to do is majority of the color is going to be on the inner corner. I'm trying to stay clear of bringing the color that dark into this area. Hopefully you can see me here. But I'm trying to keep it majority out of that area. I can have my crease color there, but because of my eye shape, it really closes things off if I start to get too much darkness in that area. So you'll notice I'm not really trying to get it into that area. But out here, we can get a little bit more diffused. And whatever's left on the product, that's actually what we're going to use to blend into the crease here. And we'll get more color into the crease, but you know, I kind of like to multitask. Like I said, this is a very simple look for me, so multitasking is just an inherent part of what I do. So I am just going to take little bitty, the same scooping motion, and just drag that color into my crease, deepening that crease area. And I'm just going to keep doing that until this looks satisfactory to me, until I get the depth I want. I don't know if it's showing up. Yeah, on camera, it looks black. And I will tell you, it does look almost black in real life, but you saw it swatched on my hand. It's not really a black, but it looks black. The whole thing is you want this to be darker than your skin, but you want this to be even darker. But it does not actually have to be black to create that illusion of a smoky eye. That is not a requirement. Smoky eyes don't automatically have to be black. And like I said, in most cases, I don't think they do. I think black is actually too dark of a shade for most people. I think it's too dark for me. All right. And I'm black. I think that it is too dark for me. I think it's too dark for most people. I think black makes a great enhancer if you're trying to deepen tones, but I don't actually think black as an actual color is a necessity. So I am just going to keep on going until I get the depth, until everything looks pretty even. You can tell in the outer portion here that this is not as even as I like it to be. I'm bringing it down to the lash line and then taking it up here. I am doing a little bit of dragging motions just to kind of, like I said, move this product around. But that's because I don't need that heavy payoff there. If you don't need the heavy payoff, you can drag it around a little bit. But if you want that dark, deep depth, pack it instead of dragging it. Up here, like I said, I'm dragging it a little bit because I don't need all that payoff. I'm trying to get more of that shadow going on up there. And I'm really creating the shape. And you can see how things are starting to really develop. My eye shape is starting to come back and develop, and it's looking like a really nice eye, you know? And then we are going to repeat that on the other eye. Okay, so now that we have both of our eyes, the colors placed down, now it's time to just refine things and make sure that everything looks where you want it to be. And then we can move on to our base. I am going to do my base off camera, but I'll sit with you for a second while I kind of figure out my placement here. I'm trying to think if there's any extra notes, any extra tips I can give about this section of the smoky eye. Really here, if you're starting to find that you want a little bit more depth, but your original crease shade just didn't do it, you can take a little bit of your lid shade and you want to be very careful about this, because this is the part where people can get raccoon eyes and it can get a little crazy. But you very carefully can just pat and drag these shades around on there and just really try to get it into a shape that makes you happy. I can't tell you what that shape is going to be because, quite frankly, some people might look at the shape that I make and go, girl, that's a bad shape for you. You know, it really comes down to preference. I like the shape that I get. And like I said, see how that's almost damn near perfect. Okay. It follows a cat eye shape. That is seriously my best advice I can give, because if I go any lower than that, it's going to droop my eye down, and it's not the look I'm going for. It's okay. I do love a puppy dog look. I do, and I have in the past done looks where I've deliberately wanted my eyes to look a little bit more downturned. It is fine to do that look, but I think in most cases, people with this who are trying to achieve a smoky eye, they're not trying to get a downturned look. They still want their eyes to look lifted. They still want their face to look lifted, which is why following that invisible cat eye shape is going to be important here. It is super fun if you start to get super experimental with it and you get dragged with it and you just start to bring that color out to the temple. Like that is, that is a cute, fun look. I am not going for that tonight, but it is definitely a fun look to do. You can also go back in with your fluffy brush if you find things are starting to get a little bit too harsh and you want to diffuse some more color. Just take that fluffy brush and go over those areas to diffuse them. And we're seriously just going back and forth. I'm not even adding any extra product to my brushes, mind you. Now, they are a little bit dirty. Okay, they are a little bit dirty, but I'm not even going in with extra product. I am seriously just using whatever product is left on my brush and using that to move things around. And if things get a little not where they're supposed to, like I can see I have a little bit down here, that's fine because I don't have any foundation on. I do my eyes first and then I do my foundation second. That way I can clean up anything if I want to, especially since I'm a glitter wearer. And it's just much easier to clean up glitter when you don't already have foundation on your face. And that is where I'm going to stop for right now. I'm going to do my base. I'm going to wait to do my lips because I want to show you different lip pairings with this. But I'll be right back in a second. Okay, so I have my base on. I have my foundation on. I did put some gel in my eyebrows. I'm honestly contemplating just shaving them off because why are they there? Honestly, why are they there? I don't need them anymore. They served their purpose and now I'm over them. But alas, we persist. We are going to finish the rest of the eye. So, underneath my eye, I'm going to put on a black kohl liner. The trick about this is you want to keep this in the waterline. I do sometimes like to have a more smudgy eyeliner look, and I will achieve that with the kohl. Sometimes that's cute. Today, I'm not really trying to do that. And I think for a beginner look, we don't need to do all that right now, all right? So we're just going to put this into our waterline. I'm going to go fully waterline. You might only go into this area. Really, once again, depends upon your eye shape. Do what works best for you. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. You'll see why in a second. The shade color, or not the shade color, the crease color that I asked you to remember, we are going to actually go back in with that. But we are going to do that with, I'm going to do that with an angled brush. This, for you, you might need a smaller brush for, maybe more like a smudger brush like this one. It really, once again, kind of depends on your eye shape and how your eyes are. But for me, I can get away with this like more fluffier. I'm going to go in with the same shade that we used on our crease. For me, it's that brownish red shade. And I'm going to go underneath the eye. And this, once again, you are going to follow your specific eye shape. You might have tiny eyes. And if you have tiny eyes, there's a good chance you can't do a full rim like I am, okay? And that's okay. Everybody's eye shapes are different. For me, in my eyes, because I got kind of big eyes, I can go full rim. And I'm going to take that shade, and then I'm actually going to connect it up to here, and then just do some blending so that there's not like a harsh line or anything. And that is going to give us that really beautiful like eye shape that's also still like, it's still lifted. You know, none of it is down, none of it is giving raccoon. It's not all down here. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes I will put a lot of liner down here and I will purposely drag my eye down because sometimes I really do like that look. But I understand that most people are avoiding looks like that. And so if you are trying to actively avoid a look where this is too heavy and it's too pulled down and it makes your eyes look rather droopy, then you want to keep this area pretty clean. You want to keep it light and bright and light in a smoky sense, which means using that crease color down there. I did try a new concealer, not a new concealer, but I noticed I still had some of that. Remember the LA Girl concealers? I had some and I was like, I kind of want to dabble back into this. And so I tried it again today for the first time in honest to God years. This product that I have in my drawer is way beyond expired. And she was a lot thicker than I remember her being, okay? And I don't know if that's just because she is probably expired or what, but she's pretty thick. So my under eyes right now, they are probably going to crease. Probably not going to be great for long wear, but it's fine. You know, I love makeup because I get to experiment. I get to try things out, and it's low pressure, right? Because it's just your face. You can wash it off. So you'll also see I'm like tidying up a little bit. I'm making sure that I personally do like this to be a little bit sharper. So I'm just going to make sure that that's a little bit more of a line here and that it follows, you know, that cat eye shape that I gave you earlier. Now I don't have to visually do that for myself all the time, but it does help if you are new and still trying to figure out that shape for yourself. And I'm just doing a little light blending. Is this the best brush to be doing it with? No, but you know, sometimes I just do it. What's easy, this brush is already in my hand. I'm gonna just keep working with it. And then you can kind of decide, do I like this shape? Do I want to keep this shape? Do I want to get a little funky with it? I am debating. I think I'm gonna take my fluffy brush. No product, I did not add any additional product on here. And I'm just going to fluff that out a little bit more because I think I do want this to be a little less harsh than it is. Ooh, she does have quite a bit of product left on here, doesn't she? That's okay. It's fine. Make sure this is nice and blended out. Start to get a little too much, I can just take a finger and fix that up. That'll be fine. And then my personal preference, this is definitely a dated thing to do. It's definitely pretty dated, but I enjoy it because I love drag. This is definitely a drag thing to do, so be forewarned, is to take, I'm taking white, I am taking a pure white shade, and I'm going to put that on my brow bone. And the way I figure this out is I'll put my mirror, so I have this big mirror here, I'll actually put it below me, like below my nose, and we shall kind of see, you can kind of see where you want that to go underneath your eyebrow. You notice I don't bring it all the way here because what this white is going to do is going to highlight an area, and like you don't want this, well, rather I don't want this area to pop out. Once again, on every eye it's going to be a little different, but I am going to put it underneath the brow in this area. If you get a little too harsh, you can always just undo it by taking your fluffy brush and just blending a little bit. It's okay. And I'm going to just kind of drag whatever little product is left. When I put new product on this brush, I'm going up on the brow. But when I want to drag it, I'm not adding any new product. I'm just dragging that down a little bit so that it meets into that brown. Just so that I don't have like just harsh white lining, you know, it allows everything to be nice and blended. And like I said, this is a drag technique. You don't have to do this, or if you want to do it on a more subtle scale, you can pick a highlight tone that suits you more. I just, you know, I live for the drag, I live for the drama of it all, so I love this white eyeshadow under the brow bone. Now, I don't feel like lashes are always required for a look, but for a look as dramatic as this, I think you do have to do somewhat of a lash. So I am going to obviously put on my mascara first. A nice little trick for this is to put your mirror below your nose, and then you don't have to worry about getting product all over your lid. And I'm doing top and bottom lashes. Drama, babes. That's what we're going for. Drama. And I realized this is a very good like bombshell look too. If you're into like a 90s Pam Anderson bombshell-esque look, this is definitely that. But do you see how that mascara already just took it up another notch? So I'm saying lashes, you're gonna need them. you're gonna need them. And now I'm gonna put on some lashes real quick. All right, so obviously you don't have to do lashes this big, but I was feeling it. I don't like to do the same look twice in a row, and I did do this look on Monday, and it's Tuesday as I'm filming this, so I had to switch up the lashes, do something big. I wanted to show, because there are a lot of questions about, oh, so I'm doing this big bold eye, can I also do a bold lip? Is that gonna be too constricting? And I'm gonna tell you right now, it just really depends on how bold you're feeling, okay? If you feel like you can be and carry the boldness of a bold eye and a bold lip, by all means, have at it. I'm going to show you a lip combo right now. Right now we are using the NYX lip pencil in No Whining. I'm gonna show you a deep red lip with this look real quick. So we have No Whining on the lips, and then I'm going to go in with Vintage Vamp. This is a lipstick from Daphne Beauty. It's one of my favorite deep red lip shades. It is a matte lip. I like a matte lip. I don't know that I would do, well, actually hold that thought. Now right now it looks like a lot, okay? But when I take my hair down, when you finally see the whole thing together, when you take all of this down, let me zoom you out a little bit so you can see, you 120% can do a red lip with a deep smoky eye. It is not, first off, it's not illegal. You just have to know in your heart of hearts, are you able to carry something like this? Because this might feel like a lot of makeup to someone. It doesn't feel like much to me because, like I said, I'm a drag queen, okay? So this feels fine, okay? But if this does feel like too much for you, I have an alternative. But first, we'll appreciate the red real quick, okay? It's super cute. She looks good, okay? Now let me give you an alternative, okay? So our alternative is to do a nude lip. I am going to, I have so many things on my desk right now. I'm going to go in with Oblivion Liner from Glam Goth Beauty. And I am gonna blend that shade out a little bit just because we are going nude, so we do want a little bit of a blend happening there. And then I am going to take Country Club. This is my absolute favorite nude lipstick from Volux Vanity, and it is a moisturizing, not very matte at all. And earlier I had almost said I don't know that I would pair this with a gloss, and that's wrong. I was lying there. If I was going to do a gloss, it would definitely be with a nude lip, and I'm just gonna use the Fat Oil from NYX in the shade Live in the Cream. What an unfortunate name. I actually hate that name. That's disgusting. But it does smell like Kool-Aid, so I do like that. And I would do that. And that is the completed look. So I hope that you got something out of this. I hope that you were able to learn something from this. I really just wanted you to come out of this feeling confident that you too can do a smoky eye look by yourself. They don't have to be hard. They don't have to be complicated. You don't need to do 300 steps. You really just need to be patient. Patience is definitely the key with the smoky eye, as well as just understanding your overall eye shape. And not both of those things take practice. They take just taking time to tinker around and not doing this right before an event, but doing it when you have nothing better to do, like what, shower makeup? I think that's what we're calling it. So until next time, I hope that you all have a great day. If you have any other questions, make sure that you tune into the live stream on Mondays. And until next time, bye.